Hello, my name's Eliana, and my group chose to do the movie Freedom Writers for our movie analysis presentation. And I'm going to be starting off by first talking about the cultural background of the interactions we see throughout the movie. So, the movie Freedom Writers is based off of real events that took place here in Long Beach and makes reference to prior events that also took place in Los Angeles. And these events really help frame the interactions that we see in the movie. So this background begins in 1991 and 1992, where a black man named Rodney King faced very harsh police brutality in Los Angeles, being brutally tased and beaten. And things like this have happened many times before, but the reason his case became so controversial was because he was one of the first to ever be actively videotaped and then have that videotape used in court. Um, so, but even with the tape, the officers were still initially found not guilty for the use of excessive force, and this was what caused numerous outbreaks of riots in Los Angeles, and that spread to Long Beach and other major cities in the area. And as they said in the movie, a lot of violence followed, including the murders of over 120 people here in Long Beach alone. And at this time, and continuing into the timeline of the movie, gang violence and racial tensions were at an all-time high, which means that the relations among people of color themselves and people of color and white people were extremely tense. This meant that most of them, especially who were affiliated with gangs, felt that they had power in numbers. Um, they felt stronger and safer working with and sticking with and protecting their own races. And so now I'm going to talk a little bit about the intercultural communication scenario. So first we have communication between Erin Gruelle, the teacher, and her students. Miss Gruelle was raised in a drastically different environment than her students. She grew up in a city that had majority white population, along with being financially stable throughout her entire childhood. And she is faced with communicating, connecting with, and teaching teenagers who were raised in drastically different circumstances. The majority of them experiencing lots of cultural diversity and hardship while living in much lower and more disadvantaged, lower income and disadvantaged scenarios. This leads to their overall cultural perceptions, along with their cultural communication behaviors, to be drastically different from one another, which inevitably causes many instances of conflict and misunderstandings to follow. And we can see that in this clip I'm going to show you right now.
White people always wanting their respect like they deserve it for free.
I'm a teacher. It doesn't matter what color I am.
It's all about color. It's about people deciding what you deserve, about people wanting what they don't deserve, about whites thinking they run this world no matter what. You see, I hate white people.
You hate me.
Yeah.
You don't know me.
I know what you can do. I saw white cops shoot my friend in the back for reaching into his pocket. His pocket. I saw white cops break into my house and take my father for no reason except because they feel like it. Except because they can. And they can. Because they're white. So I hate white people on sight.
And along with this type of conflict, we also see communication scenarios among the students themselves. The racial tensions between the students are high, much of this having to do with the events following the recent riots, but also just involving different ways that they were raised within their own cultures and learned how to communicate. And this is pretty clearly shown in my second clip as well.
All right. So what you're saying is, if the Latinos weren't here, or the Cambodians, or the blacks, or the whites, or whoever they are, if they weren't here, everything would be better for you. Isn't that right? Right.
And lastly, we also see some smaller interactions between Miss Gruelle and other teachers that revolve around the students themselves. A lot of this is rooted in difference of communication styles that my teammate will go over in the next part. Thank you.
So the first intercultural communication issue we will talk about in regards to the film Freedom Writers is the uncertainty avoidance, which is the extent to which people are made nervous by the unstructured, the unclear, and the unpredictable. And there's two extremes to this uncertainty avoidance. There's the high uncertainty avoidance, which are people that come from these tight, restricted cultures that tend to be more conservative and narrow-minded and basically refuse change. And then we have the low uncertainty avoidance, which are people that are more inclined to take chances and make questionable decisions in an open and accepting community. So let's go ahead and take a look at the clip from the movie that shows this concept in use.
What about this? We were discussing the Holocaust. No, they won't be able to read that. We can try. The books are just sitting here. Look at their reading scores. And if I give your kids these books, I'll never see them again. If I do, they'll be damaged. What about these? Romeo and Juliet. That's a great gang story. Not the books. This is what we give them. It is Romeo and Juliet, but it's a condensed version. But even these, look how they treat them. See how torn up they are? They draw on them. Miss Campbell, they know they get these because no one thinks they're smart enough for real books. I don't have the budget to buy new books every semester when these kids...
So here we present with the character Margaret Campbell, who is obviously displaying high uncertainty avoidance because she's resistant to change. She believes the structure that is set in place is there for a reason and refuses to look beyond the rigid lines and challenge the system for much needed improvement. And then on the other hand, we have the character of Erin Gruwell, who displays low uncertainty avoidance. And Erin Gruwell is open to change. She is willing to take the risk to challenge the set structure if it means it will improve the kids in education. She's not afraid to question authority and look beyond the structure she has been given. Moving on to the intercultural communication issue number 2. This is in regards to the face negotiation theory, which is the way society responds to conflict based on their cultural backgrounds. And the theory emphasizes the idea of continuing to present a face that reflects that of their own culture. And it's important to define face in this theory. So what is face? Face would be defined as the public image that someone desires in an interaction. Let's go ahead and take a look at the clip from the movie that displays this theory.
I saw ako din. Ako killed the guy.
So in this clip, we're presented with the character Eva Benitez, who's faced with the decision of saving the face of her cultural group or saving her own face. The struggle is essentially that she is a part of a collectivistic community living within an individualistic society. Ultimately, she decides to tell the truth and save her own face rather than that of her group. And it's a great example because we can see the faces of the people that would be affected had she told a lie, and we can see that moral switch in her and the fact that she lives in an individualistic society come out, and she chooses to tell the truth because the person that's guilty deserves to be behind bars, not the innocent. And we see that complicated relationship between the cultural values and the face negotiation.
Okay, so intercultural communication issues number 3, they're going to be nonverbal codes, and this is just gestures and body language. And I have a quick video just to demonstrate some eye rolls, facial expressions, slouched postures. 1 second.
Gloria Muniz. Alejandro Santiago. Andre Bryant. Eva Benitez. Eva. Not Eva. Ava. I have to go to the bathroom. Okay, make sure that you
Yeah,
take
I know. So in that short clip, you can see that there's eye rolling. They have like bad facial expressions. They obviously don't want to be there. And I put Zendaya on the left to demonstrate that as well. So in the classroom scenes, students often use nonverbal gestures to express their disinterest or frustration. Okay, thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cindy Miranda, and I will be discussing the strengths and weaknesses within the communication styles in the film Freedom Writers. So one of our strengths would be low uncertainty avoidance. You wouldn't typically see that as a strength normally, just because this is someone who lacks directness, clarity, someone who showcases more nonverbal cues, a little more silent. Um, However, despite high certainty avoidance being typically considered a strength, in this specific film, relying on nonverbal skills becomes crucial for survival. This basically shifts the perspective of what's considered a strength and a weakness depending on the high and low uncertainty avoidance. However, Mrs. Gruhl, the professor, she demonstrates strengths such as empathy and active listening. These are essential in helping the students start anew and positively re-transform their lives despite the challenges they face. This showcases how effective communication goes beyond verbal exchange and adapts to the specific needs and circumstances of individuals and the communities they live in. As I've also stated here in the Freedom Writers film, direct communication and understanding nonverbal cues have become crucial and more of a survival skill than just a way of communication. And how I can explain that is we've discussed in our previous slides how some of these students tend to eye roll or kind of give nonverbal cues that they're not very appreciative of this professor. However, if you really watch the film, it's more of a survival skill. It's more of a strength in that community. And again, the professor did a great job in showcasing empathy and active listening. This is considered a great strength because ultimately this is what's helped turn the students' lives around by wanting to pursue an education compared to what they had normally come in with, which is not caring about their education and keeping this save face personality and perspective on things. Thank you.
Okay, so to end the presentation, we have suggestions to improve intercultural communication. And one of those ways is to spread cultural awareness. In the film Freedom Writers, Erin Gruwell, she encourages her students to learn more about each other's cultural backgrounds through activities like the line game. And another way is to encourage individuals to learn about different cultures, histories, and traditions. And this can be achieved through attending like cultural like workshops or maybe like clubs on your college or like other environments where people want to share their cultural differences with one another. Another way to improve intercultural communication is through empathy and active listening. So from the movie, Erin Gruwell, she listens to her students' struggles, their stories, experiences, and she shows empathy for one another during their struggles and challenges. And a way is to do that is to encourage empathy and active listening. when engaging with people from different cultures and backgrounds. It's really important to understand that and to understand and appreciate others' perspectives, even if they differ from your own. Thank you.